Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Bošković-Battarella, and I welcome you to the presentation, Your Role in Digital Transformation. So what are we actually discussing today? We are discussing my perspective on digital transformation. Since I'm a lawyer, we're going to discuss compliance and ethics matters regarding digital transformation. We are going to discuss data, communication, ecosystem, and trust. Why is that? Because digital services and products, they actually collect a lot of data from the users. The new technologies are mostly information communication technologies. So they communicate with their users. What does it mean practically? While communicating with the users, technology collects a lot of data about users, about their behavior, interests, and preferences. Companies actually want to analyze these data and build new products and services. So the whole aim is building ecosystem. Some of them, in theory, call them ecosystems, like IT ecosystems of trust. So regarding digital transformation, it's quite important to have in mind all these 4 topics. And today we're going to discuss what practically it means to build an ecosystem of trust and how to perform this kind of digital transformation at its best. My field of expertise is law and technology, so I'm actually a lawyer with the bar exam. I work in law firms, in banks, and then I specialized master's degree in the Netherlands called law and technology. So my field of expertise are fields of law. They are connected with technology, like e-commerce, ICT contracts, privacy and data protection, regulation and ethics, cybercrime, intellectual property, internet and liability. So mostly I discuss and I advise regarding data protection and privacy compliance. I had my master's thesis topic on the GDPR. So last 5 years, I'm mostly dealing with technologies. They are processing personal data, and we are all, since the GDPR is in the force, we're actually discussing a lot what is allowed regarding data, what is not allowed, what is compliant, what is ethical, and so on. So digital transformation is actually the process that whole company goes through. It's important to look what are the aims of the company, what is the aim of digital transformation, what we want to achieve, what kind of relationship we want to achieve with our customers, and what kind of reputation we want to build in the media, in the public. So what is interesting about new technologies? They're new. We don't actually know the risks, but there are always risks. It's like gambling. We are actually trying to predict risks of certain new technology, but we don't know what are the risks till we don't actually see them. So for some new technology, it takes like 50 years to actually look at what happened. So lawyers actually usually regulate after the problem occurs. So we, as lawyers who deal with new technologies, we actually are dealing with prediction of risks and decision-making in uncertainty. First of all, when we're discussing a new technology, we have to fit it in some legal framework. As I already said, legal framework is old. Legal framework does not know new technology, but still we have to know if something is legal. So what are we actually doing in this phase? We have to consider what are the national laws regarding our new technology, what are some kind of EU directives and regulations, and there are also Convention on Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. We don't actually want to breach the laws, as that's bad for our reputation, and it also brings financial and legal risks. EU also worked on ethical framework on artificial intelligence. So this framework can be used when we discuss new technologies and what is actually ethical. So we can see from the picture here that ethical framework deals with human oversight, safety, privacy, data governance, transparency, non-discrimination, accountability, and societal environmental well-being. These terms are very well defined in this document, but in practice they are quite difficult to achieve. But let's be practical. Let's make one example. So we have a web shop. We are selling some food, like pizzas. So what we want to achieve with this web shop? Of course, we want to sell pizza and we want to sell more pizza. But what else we want to achieve? How are we going to communicate with our consumers? What are we going to collect about our consumers? When we collect the data, what are we going to do with it? So here are some scenarios that are listed in Article 29 Working Party guidelines. But the first scenario is quite basic. So we have a web shop, we have contact details of our buyers, and we have postal address because we have to deliver the pizza. But when we deal with the online business activities, we also have data from our website, from our web shop. We also have recent order histories. We have location data. We have an IP address. Maybe we put some cookies, so we have some analytics data. Maybe we profile our users. There's also a third scenario that we can actually sold the data that we have to another company. So these are just 3 scenarios from all the possible scenarios that we can achieve at our web shop. And companies currently are dealing with these decisions. So let's say the first scenario is not problematic. The second scenario, we have to make a legitimate interest analysis to see how it works with the General Data Protection Regulation and e-privacy directive. Third scenario probably won't be really justified. And we cannot actually sell our users' data to another company. If we are selling some aggregated data, or also if we are using data from another purpose, we have to really inform our users through privacy policy, and in some cases our user will have to consent for these other purposes of processing personal data. So what if hypothetically we discover from the pattern of the data when our customer is most vulnerable? For example, if we predict that on Fridays our customers are specifically vulnerable and they want to buy pizza, and then we offer them a discount like 10%. So is that legal and ethical? That is a question that we are dealing in this, let's say, gray zone. How are we going to deal with that? How are we going to offer discount? And this example of legitimate interest analysis uses actually as an exercise how to make decisions, what to do with the data on our web shop. So there's no simple answer like yes or no. Every company has to decide for itself and bear with the risks. So actually we cannot predict the future, we can only invent it. So when we are inventing the future, we are actually in this gap between regulation and innovation. What happens in this gap? We are dealing with many challenges, and it's not easy to know if some solution or some invention is actually ethical or legal. But in this gap, there are many opportunities because we can build new products and new services, and we can be the first one on the market. So actually, the future is you. Your role in digital transformation is decide what kind of future you want to build. While deciding on this future, it is very important when we deal with new technologies to assess the risks beforehand. What does that mean? It means that we have to make some privacy impact assessments or risk assessments. that specify what is the purpose, what is necessary for achieving this purpose, which measures are necessary, how to assess the risks, how to address the measures, document everything, and monitor everything. What we see as a trend regarding these risks and regarding measures, we are shifting from regulation by law to regulation by code. Privacy by design is quite a popular term. It's not new. It's around 10 years old, but since about 2 years from the full applicability of general data protection regulation, we can see that privacy by design is more important. And all these principles are actually built in the code. Also, we can use a methodology of European Court of Human Rights. How the European Court of Human Rights decides what is actually a breach of the convention and what is not a breach. So usually the first step is a legal ground, if the law is breached or not. What is the legitimate aim of some activity? Is that necessary in democratic society? And is there a balance? So we always want to achieve the balance. Balance is not black and white, 0 or 1. It's something that changes. It's something that we have all different opinion about. So this topic is quite, let's say, interesting. And it's always interesting to see what will happen in the future. How to build a compliant model? How to build a business model that is compliant? So we can actually summarize and conclude there are these 4 basic steps. We want to make risk-based approach. So we are actually assessing what are the risks and dealing with them. We want to check legal framework, ethical framework, and we want to achieve the balance. I hope this was useful for you. If you have any questions, you can write on our email address. And I hope I'll hear from you. Bye.